Welcome Pinocchio fans, today it is time to discuss some additional ways you can succeed at the game, yes, even as a beginner to the Souls-like genre, as while Lies of P does have a rather punishing learning curve and really unforgiving parry windows for fury attacks. The game does have one major advantage over usual Souls-like games, and that is its items. If you've never used consumables or throwable items in Souls games, I don't blame you, they are usually not as noticeable and can be quite niche. But in Lies of P they are pretty much the equivalent of magic, combining safety with power to handle foes or even bosses that you normally struggle with. The most obvious way to first use items is to get rid of a few annoying enemies and sneaky spawn locations like hanging on the edge of a bridge or hiding in poison, but I've also found it really useful to get rid of ranged enemies when they're packed together in one of those notorious murder groups that rely on the player being careless. Just a few items can make these developer traps very easy to avoid. I've also already made several build guides that show how powerful it can be to increase the number of consumables and the power of your Fable catalysts in order to spam your favorite Fable arts, which are arguably the highest damage in Lies of P, but I wonder how many people actually use throwable items to make their lives easier, as yes, boys and girls, throwables pretty much melt all bosses on your first playthroughs. For instance, let's take a look at the shovel puppets people struggle against so much at the beginning. Well, by now you should definitely have quite a few throwing cells, so how about we make a good use of them? Looks like they pretty much get destroyed. Wanna see something better? Do you remember those annoying elite monsters in the cathedral part? If you're not here at the game yet, well, you'll soon enough know the struggle, but let's use a couple of termites against it and wow, they pretty much melt. If you build for advanced, these items will be even more powerful, so as a tech build, they really shine. But let's also take a look at some annoying early boss examples, but beware, boss spoiler alert if you aren't finished with the cathedral yet. In this footage I'll play quite clumsily against the puppet boss, and yet you can see I'm pretty much just getting carried by my throwing cells and electric canisters that carry the whole fight with their damage, and even despite getting hit left and right, I only have to contribute with a couple of bonus hits to get rid of the boss. For a more complex fight, let's take a look at the Archbishop fight, possibly the first roadblock for most players. The first phase of this fight, while at first will be a pain in the ass, it's definitely the easier part, so let's try to conserve our consumables for part 2 and take care of the first phase with mostly Fable arts, some perfect blocks, and our weapon. Now once we're in the dreaded phase 2, let's go all out on everything we have. Starting with thermites, they will do most of the heavy lifting due to the boss's fire weakness, but we can still continue to deal good amounts of damage with the rest of our throwables, from electric cells to acid bottles, and if you've thrown all of them, the boss should be at like 20% health, with you still having most of your healing items that are left from phase 1. As you can see, throwables are absolutely monstrous to carry boss phases that you struggle with, and while throwing 10 to 15 items at a boss might feel like a lot, try to compare the price of these items with the amount of hours you would otherwise waste repeatedly dying to the boss, and the amount of ergo that would mean if you farmed them instead. It's an obvious win for using items then. Using items also doesn't really require too much preparation, as upgrades wise all you have to pick at the P-Organ section is to be able to hold more throwable items by up to 2 bonus slots, going into 3 or 4 in New Game Plus. And like I said, if you don't mind grinding a bit, most of these throwables can be purchased from the Wandering Merchant at the beginning of the game or in later chapters as you find him again, at reasonable prices. In the end, if you are not a fan of grinding, remember you don't have to waste all these items at every attempt you do at bosses, but you can save them for that one really good attempt where you can just finish them off by using them all. Later on, you will also unlock further throwable items such as the chain or especially the shot put, which are not only incredibly good damage, but items that can stagger enemies and even bosses from range, so make sure to stock up on them if you usually struggle at landing that critical heavy hit to stagger them. So yes, that is the gist of this video everyone, just a quick guide and tip to make sure you do use your consumables in Lies of P, as they are one of the most powerful tools at your disposal apart from the heavy Fable art builds, and can trivialize most of your bosses and mini-bosses you'll encounter in the game if you really need that extra help. Hope this video helped you guys, thank you for watching and all your support, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, but that's a wrap, take care, and I'll see you the next time.